National Pharmacovigilance Week from India, which has been conducted by the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission. Before starting this, as we have the B.Pharm from first year, second year, third year, final year, as well as we have the postgraduates here from the M.Pharm, just to be very brief why this celebration has some significance for today. It basically deals with the drug safety measures, because we know whatever we are using as our pharma drug every day in our daily life, we don't take the awareness or the initiatives to report it, to give its compliance to the drug efforts. And unless we do that, the efficacy of particular medication or the particular therapeutic applications does not get established in the society. So with this, first I like to start with our welcome dance, which will be presented by our second year students, Ayushi and Bhashwati. And please come on the stage. I hope this dance was very meaningful on this occasion, because as we know, the Shakti, the goddess of Shakti, comes on this earth every year to heal our pains and the sufferings. And as we are making the program for pharmacovigilance program, which is also leads to the healing of the society, so I think it goes with the occasion. So first, I like to call upon on the stage our respected Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor Indonesian Gupta, and I request our respected Professor KPR Roy, Sir, from the Department of Pharmaceutical Technology, to please welcome Sir on the stage. Thank you, sir, Professor K. Narayan. Next, we call upon our stage our head of the department and dean of academics, Professor H.S. Marji, and I call Professor Dilip sir from our department of pharmaceutical technology. Please come up on the stage and welcome Marji sir. Next, we have with us our IQS director, Professor Pinju Kumar De sir, to please come on the stage, and we call upon our faculty teacher, Dr. Tapan Kumar Shaw, to please felicitate our professor. And it's our great honor. We again call our guest speaker for the day, Mr. Shubhabrato Dr. Gupta, to please come on the stage. And we call upon our Dean of Academics, sir, to please welcome the guest of speaker for the day. Thank you, sir, so much. Next, we have the auspicious occasion for the lighting of the lamp. So I request all our delegates to please be forward for the lighting of the lamp. Thank you so much, sir, for this occasion. And now I like to call upon our respected Vice Chancellor, sir, Professor Indrajit Sengupta, to please deliver his speech regarding this program. Thank you, sir. Please take on this.
Thank you, Dr. Chakravarti. So, a very good morning to all the students and my faculty colleagues who are present here. I'm especially thankful to Mr. Dr. Gupta, who has spared his time to be here on this occasion to deliver his talk and share his wisdom with all of us. Now, as part of this National Pharmacovigilance Week, we are organizing this event. Well, I am a total layman in this field, but one thing I understand, pharmacy is very important in our daily life. Pharmacovigilance is even more important. Because many of us, we are self-proclaimed doctors. We do not feel that we need to go to registered medical practitioners to cure our standard illnesses unless it becomes serious. So we prescribe medicines ourselves. We go to the stores, we buy medicines, and we take. Most of the time it cures us, but sometimes it becomes serious. And we also do not know or do not understand the side effects of many of these medicines. So what kind of medical condition we are already in, what kind of drugs we are already taking, and whether this new drug could be adversely affecting something or not. We we are totally unaware. Now this pharmacovigilance, as you know much better than I am, is a field of study where we are taught about these kinds of do's and don'ts. And what I can understand that this is extremely important in the present day context, more so with the last 2.5 years of COVID wave that we have experienced. Well, this COVID had taught us a lot of lessons. Those we should take as the positives in our days ahead. We should move ahead with the lessons we have learned. What are the things COVID has taught us? Well, one thing I can understand that this pharma business or the industry, whatever you call, it has come to the forefront. Now, all of us appreciate the importance of the pharma industry in our society, in our daily life. So, with these few words, and hoping this event to be a grand success, I thank the organizers once again for inviting me to give this opening speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for this very valuable speech. And indeed, it's the COVID who has taught us many things from this profession. So firstly, I like to give a brief highlights, and for those who are aware of pharmacovigilance and those who are not aware of pharmacovigilance, what does actually this term means? So pharma, we know the study of drugs, and if you divide it to vigilance, that means when you check on the drug monitoring. Okay. So this pharmacovigilance program of India was started very recently at July 2010, not very, I think it was last 12 years back. But why? Because it started from the massacres what we had after the Second World War, and its advent was the thalidomide tragedy, yellow fever, ultra-vigilance, which was started as a program in Europe. And later in 2010, as India is a third world country and we have a huge mass populations with so many varying kind of diseases, so it had become a big hub for this disease therapeutics. So the Pharmacovigilance of India was an Indian government organization which identifies and responds to the drug safety problems, its activities, including receiving reports of the adverse drug reactions and taking necessary actions for its remedial measures. And now it has been taken care by the CDSU, that is the Central Drug Standard Organization, and it has passed through the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission right now in New Delhi, in Ghaziabad from 2011, who has been taking over this whole activity. Now I call upon our stage our Dean of Academics and Professor H.S. Marji to address on this occasion. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Payal, and a very good morning to all my dear students and colleagues. On the stage, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Indranil Gupta, my colleague, Dr. Bintu Kumar Dev, and the speaker, the man of today, Mr. Shubhabrata Gupta. I am privileged to be his teacher, and once again I welcome him at my university, JIS University. He had a brief talk a few weeks ago in front of you. It was a full day workshop, hope you have enjoyed. And this day also is going to be a memorable one. Now, what I believe is learning by fun. You people are sitting idle, doesn't make any sense to make this day successful. Only by singing and dancing is not sufficient. You have to participate actively in the talk. And as our Honorable Vice Chancellor has said, that pharma industry or pharma business has come to the forefront nowadays, specifically after the COVID pandemic. And India has taken a great role. Now, people around the globe are thinking that India is the pharma manufacturing hub. And from our Prime Minister's word, the Make in India concept, India is focusing more on producing API, bulk drugs. You know what is API and bulk drugs? These are used for preparing different kinds of formulations. Now, regarding the importance of this day, is rather this week, National Pharmacovigilance Week. This was observed to ensure the safety of the patients. This is observed to ensure better control of the side effects or adverse drug reactions that are observed while application of any drugs or medicines. Now, this ADR monitoring is very, very important. You know, many of you know what is phase 4 clinical trials. When drug comes into the market, then another say, period of 10 to 20 years is spent on establishing the efficacy as well as suitability of the particular molecules, where side by side, parallelly, these adverse drug reactions are being monitored, side effects are being monitored. Many of the drugs has been withdrawn from the market after it's implemented because of the delayed side effects. So this recording of this adverse effects is important, is equally important than curing the disease. Any molecule has got two effects, you know, one is useful, side by side, parallelly, the side effects or adverse effects. So, which one is more? See, if the efficacy is more, it is drug. If the side effects or ADS are more, it may be a poisonous chemicals. So same molecule has got two utilities. So this objective of today's talk is how better we can control the negative effects or side effects or adverse effects. So to control the adverse effects, first and foremost thing is what is required is to record that. It's not possible to record everything in the laboratory. Whenever a person is taking a medicines, parallelly, say maybe after 6 months or after 1 year, he or she is developing some kinds of symptoms and signs that are called as adverse drug reactions. So that reactions have to be recorded and to be provided to the manufacturers so as to define that particular drug molecules to reduce that kind of adverse effects. So this recording of the side effects are equally important with the application of the molecules. This pharmacovigilance program of India, PvPI, is an independent government body which is working to record this ADR monitoring. These ADR monitoring centers are available across almost all government hospitals, and many of the private organizations, private hospitals or say pharmacy centers have started recording this ADR responses. And these are collected, collated, and sent into a central repository to have a complete picture of any molecules. So with this, I'll conclude. I'll hand over to the speakers. Hope you will enjoy the day and make this program fruitful. And at the same time, I would like to congratulate Dr. Payal once again. She has taken the great initiative to organize these programs. Multiple programs are going on right now at the department. So some of the students are writing exams. Some of the PhD scholars are having BSc meetings right now, and this is going on along with the classes and laboratories. So you have to keep your eyes and ears open and grab everything, whatever is being delivered. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir, for this. It's all your motivations and encouragement which will lead us and pave our path for the future. And as such said, I want all my fellow students to be really be on their toes, right? Next, I would call our IQS Director, Professor PvPI sir, to please address the moment for today. Thank you, sir. Please take one.
Very good morning. It's a gracious morning today because it's an important program. How important that already Maji sir told. Most of us, I think, we are not familiar with this term, pharmacovigilance, although Payal told very nicely, it is divided into two words. Pharma means drug, pharmacon means drug, and vigilance means it's general term, English word, so that we are keeping the eye on it. Means we are keeping our eye on the drug. Drug means, Maji sir already told, it has two effects. It may be beneficial, it may be harmful. So, little bit if we understand those who are hearing this term for the first time, simply to understand that a drug, whenever we are taking a drug, it gives two effects. One is treatment of the disease or a symptom. Another is it gives some inherent side effects are there, but adverse effects are different from the side effects. Side effects means usual dose, it is predicted effect. This thing will be showing. Suppose if you are taking a drug, there may be some little bit acidity. Anti-inflammatory drug if you are taking, there may be some little bit of acidity. That we know, and how you combat it, that we also know. Because whenever we are taking antibiotics, there may be chances of reducing your gut flora. So that we know. So whenever we are taking antibiotics, we are taking the precaution of that. Sometimes we are taking vitamins or some other measures so that our gut flora restored. So these things, simply the importance of organizing this type of program with the pharma people or other people is to make awareness that whenever you are taking the, even being the pharma people, if you are taking the drug and sometimes you may find some adverse effects with you, you may not report it. So the thing is, whenever we see some effect, it's bad effect or good effect, that has to be reported. Simple thing. And this reporting, well, scientifically it is done in the pharma means hospitals or nursing homes with the close supervision of the medical professional along with the pharmacy people in this team of vigilance. Then it becomes recorded officially, and Maji sir already told that it has been sent to the central repository from where we are analyzing the whole data all over the country or all over the world, and to get the final decision whether the drug can be fully effective or partially effective or having major side effects, whether it could be continued in the market or it should be withdrawn. And sometimes for the different people are admitted in the hospital, sometimes some multi-organ failure patients are also there, and the usual dose is not working. We cannot give them the usual adult dose. We all know that every drug, the adult dose is there, from which we are calculating the neonatal dose or geriatric dose. But it is not always happen that it is applicable to all patients, those who are having multiple organ failure or some multiple symptoms of disease. So for them, there is need of close supervision of the efficacy of the drug and its toxicity. Always we are going for risk-benefit ratio. As you know, in case of cancer also, cancer treatment also, doctors are choosing the risk-benefit ratio and treating in such a line. So I am in front of expert. I am not going in detail because it is very little knowledge we are having. So let us hear from our speaker, Mr. Dr. Gupta is there. So we'll all learn from him what actually we are doing in pharmacovigilance and what actually we should do for the society. Or if you are going in this line, in pharmacovigilance area, so what will be your future job? What you can contribute to the society? So these things, everything will be discussed and will be analyzed. And I think you also should take part. I don't know, first year, fourth year, all are here. Some are very new. Even M.Pharm students are also here. So I'll request her to ask you some basic questions so that your knowledge level can also be assessed, and from there it can be improved. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming here and participating in this program. Thank you very much. And I also want to thank our Payal madam, who is the main organizer. And her team also, the team is there. So this type of beautiful program we will be watching in future also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for this informative speech on this pharmacovigilance program. You broke everything in detail. I think everyone could follow what Professor Pintu sir said to all of us. Next, I would call upon on the stage Professor K.K. Rai, sir, to please first introduce our guest speaker for this day. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, respected Vice Chancellor and all the dignitaries on the dais and off the dais and my dear students. And today in this auspicious occasion, we are having with us Mr. Subhobrat Dattagupta, and I have a proud privilege to give a brief introduction about him in presence of you. Subhobrat Dattagupta, more than 1 decade of global experience in pharmaceutical industry in the area of manufacturing, project management, clinical safety science, governance, process management, and global corporate training. He has exposure in international assignment and work majorly in Switzerland, Germany, Spain, and USA projects since 2009. He is working at Novartis Global Drug Development India with expertise in different domain of epidemiology, chief medical office, drug safety, medical devices, audit and inspection, team management, process development, scientific writer, production executive, etc. Prior to Novartis, he also worked in Bengal Chemical and Pharmaceuticals Private Limited, Kolkata. Subhobrat, a pharmacist by qualification, completed his M.Pharm from Jadavpur University and B.Pharm from Gupta College of Technological Science, Asansol, under West Bengal University of Technology. He has qualified GATE and also completed postgraduate diploma in bioinformatics. He has scientifically completed project management program from Boston University, USA, and he authored scientific publication in national and international journals. So, in this auspicious day, we are having with us a such personality, and in from our side, from the JIS University Department of Pharmaceutical Science and Technology, a big applause for him. Thank you.
So now I come up on the main climax of today's program. So I call upon our guest speaker on the stage for his valuable speech on this occasion. Mr. Subhobrat Dattagupta, please take over the stage.
So hi everyone, very good morning. I have some voice issue today, but yeah, I will try my best to interact with you and sharing about the knowledge of pharmacovigilance and celebrating together the National Pharmacovigilance Day. Okay. So first of all, as I thank you very much to HOD sir and Vice Chancellor sir, Principal sir, and all the respected faculty members out here to be part of this celebration in your institute, and also non-teaching staff and especially all the students, because they are the main. I think I'm not the main part today because I'm in here to share my knowledge, whatever I've learned, and maybe it will be helpful for your future career. But I think here the main important persons, I would say as a whole, is the audience, all the students, because they are the future of overall pharmaceutical industry and different aspects, how they are going to contribute in our health system, right? Maybe somebody will be in production, somebody will be working in pharmacist, somebody will be working in research and development part, somebody will be in marketing, or somebody will be in pharmacovigilance profession as well. And when I will go through today's talk, I will definitely say this is a topic. As you know, I think your Payal Madam, Machi sir, they also share a lot of thoughts about the pharmacovigilance. I think they are not right. They have given most important message that we need to keep in mind for pharmacovigilance, and especially in India, I would say we are still in a very primitive stage. In India, definitely we have a lot of industrial growth been happening from pharmacovigilance work point of view. A lot of companies are working in India. A lot of service providers are working for India. But as a country, when you're talking about our patients, where our patient is receiving drugs and what are the different types of adverse drug reactions are affecting them and how it is affecting the society and the overall health system, in that area, I think still long way we need to go as a society, as a healthcare professional, as a pharmacovigilance expert or the professional, or as a human being. Because I do believe that still there is a lot of awareness is needed about the pharmacovigilance and drug safety in India, which is still lacking. And I would say it's not depends only on the health authorities like Central Drug Standard Organization, not about professionals like us, or definitely the educational institute who are actually also helping out the students and the society to make the awareness. But most importantly, as an individual, when we are a person or a human being, how much we make ourselves aware about the drug safety and our relatives, our friends, and our society, that is very important. Because again, I am saying that we are really not aware. When I will tell you some of the examples that I encountered in last one decade, when I actually worked in the global pharmacovigilance, when I got the opportunity to work for other countries, drug safety, scenarios, reports. Then when it compared to India's drug safety reports or the volume reports I consider, then I really, sometimes got, disappointed. I was not disappointed. Disappointment means there is always opportunity for improvement and to look for the betterment, right? Because in India, very less people are aware, and that's why very less reporting is happening. And I can tell you, when I was like, maybe now I'm working in process manager, a lot of process related activity, but definitely when I joined in the profession of pharmacovigilance, I started with a basic point, like collection of report, analyzing those things, and then go for the further report preparation and submission to the health authority. And in that aspect, I would say, every day I'm getting reports from UK, lot of other Germany, European countries, uh, even from Latin America, USA, we're getting a lot of reports. Thousands of reports. Every day we should receive, we need to assess those reports as well. But every time I remember, like, whenever I get, oh my God, I got a case from Mumbai. It's from India. Maybe mostly it comes from the clinical trial cases because in clinical trial, we have no structured way of collecting the serious adverse events information. But spontaneous report is also very rare. If it also comes from very big reputed hospital of certain cities only. Okay. And then I used to, share this with my colleagues. See, I have a report from India, and it is very rarest of rarest situation we are getting this. That shows that how long we need to go more from pharmacovigilance program point of view and pharmacovigilance and drug safety objective point of view for Indian population. Because just think, we have around, like well, more than 140 crores of population out here. And I think everybody of us in certain point of their life always go through some treatment and receiving some medications, right? So definitely when you go through the medications, definitely there will be possibility of area. And those are actually never been monitored properly. And as I mentioned, it's not only about the health authorities, not only about the other professionals, it's about the patient and how we make aware that whenever you experience any area, it is our responsibility to report it to the health authority or the concerned company. Even I would say our healthcare professionals, doctors, they also need to be more upgraded and be educated more. I would not say educated that they are not aware, but they need to be more practice the actual pharmacovigilance and area reporting to the concerned authority and the company. So that as a whole, even for the Indian population, we have those data available and we can actually look for those betterment and risk management plan from Indian perspective and how better we can handle those drugs to be more safe for the patient with the better efficacy. Okay. So this is whatever I want to say as an introductory part in my talk today, and I think I hope that you got my point. Why I'm speaking these initial sentences to emphasize that how important it is to look for the drug safety and pharmacovigilance. It's you that you need to start with, because I think all of us here are tomorrow's healthcare professionals as a pharmacist, right? So as I mentioned, still in the society there are a lot of lack awareness. So we need to educate people, whether it's our parents, our relatives as a whole, so that a culture of awareness and discussion about the area comes up. And maybe one day we'll also reach out to a level where I don't need to say that, okay, now we still need to make awareness, because we maybe put ourselves in a situation where we already know about the importance of pharmacovigilance and drug safety. Okay. Thank you very much. And then maybe formally I will start my presentation about the pharmacovigilance. Thank you very much. So I think as I already given the introductory part, hello. This is fine. So go to the next slide. These are in general disciplinary parts, like you just need to switch off your mobile, or maybe you can give it vibration. Okay, and if anybody have any urgent call, they can right away go out of the auditorium and they can take their call and you can come back. Okay, you don't need to ask anyone. Okay, go to the next slide. So just a brief introduction, as I think sir already given a initial introduction, so I don't need to again reiterate that one. It's about my education and aspect. Go to the next slide. Yeah, this is again, as I worked sometime in Bengal chemical manufacturing, and then we worked in the Novartis as well. So let us start today's journey over the pharmacovigilance. Go to the next slide. Yeah, what's the history? I think your Payal ma'am, Maji sir, and Bituta, they also given some of the examples, right? Because even when I studied PvPharma, we also have about the thalidomide tragedy that will happen, right? That was one of the part when I remember we actually gone through. And if you go to a bit of more history about it, like in 1848, there was a lady called Hannah. She was given chloroform to actually make a surgery to take out his foot nail. Okay. And suddenly actually he died at that situation. And nobody was actually aware that why actually he died. Because at that time in 1948, people never thought of that probably, drugs can also lead to some adverse reaction in some life-threatening situation. And maybe Sir Simpson, who actually discovered chloroform, and that time made a statement that chloroform is a very effective, effective anesthetic, can be used for different type of surgery. But you never know that time Hannah, when she actually died, specifically whether there is a dose specification is properly given, and maybe just for a minor surgery where she needs to just remove his toenail due to some infection, she died while taking the chloroform. Okay. But anyway, we know with time we gather knowledge in different generations, and then we move into 1937, where actually we see specifically when in US around 107 deaths happened due to this sulfamide drugs, which is used as an elixir. And in that elixir there is a solvent. I think just diethyl glycol as a solvent being used in the particular formulation. And manufacturer of that particular elixir was not aware that diethyl glycol is actually a very toxic material for the patients, and a lot of patients died due to that. And then actually even in US health authorities made aware that they need to have a more structured way of monitoring the drug effects, so that in future such type of tragedy didn't happen. And they actually taken that overall system in their process. Then you can see what difference can happen when in 1961 in Europe this thalidomide strategy happened. This strategy was not there in USA because it was never been marketed in USA. Because USA had more that already in USA already have that strengthened overall monitoring at that time, and that's why when in those pregnant women, patient actually taking thalidomide, their babies for abnormalities, right? But that can be prevented in US because when they already seen in Europe that they have a better pharmacovigilance and monitoring system, that didn't happen here. So this is a very small example where we can see if we have a safety net, if we have proper monitoring and overall safety awareness, then definitely we can avert such type of tragedy in our society for the healthcare system. Because it's not that we can avoid drugs. So definitely people will get ill. We need to take drugs for that. There will be always a possible adverse drug reaction, maybe or may not be associated with a drug. But there will be areas. Now, important is that, as Maji was also saying in the introductory speech, that it is very important how we can minimize the risk and we have the better effect of our drug. So there will be area, but whether this area can be manageable, if the safety concerns are very high, then maybe we need to withdraw the drug from the market, or maybe that drug is not been approved. As you know, in the clinical trial, this type of safety assessment was done. Sometimes a drug is very effective. It can cure a disease, but what we see, it cures a disease, but it actually leads to a severe adverse drug reaction or something very dangerous to the patient that we need to even avoid that particular medication to be marketed. Okay, so this type of situation may happen. So this is a brief history how this pharmacovigilance part actually came in our life and how it is important. And we have seen that we actually learn from our mistakes and then we need to put it. Now, when I'm talking about this history, definitely you can see we are talking about Europe, we are talking about USA, but and other countries as well. But India, I think we are still have a overall process definitely. But I think recently, as in 2010, and even I think before that in 2000 also there was a small program started for pharmacovigilance by JISU. But in 2010 they have more formally this type of pharmacovigilance program of India, like initiative were taken. And now, as you mentioned, it's just one ticket. So we're still learning, we're still going to make more awareness among our society, as I earlier mentioned. So that we need to go on. Okay, go to the next slide. So again, as whatever I mentioned about relevant tragedy and all this is actually mentioned in this particular slides. So I'll not go through this. I think you already know, because I think this will also be part of your curriculum as well. If you know, then go to the next slide. So here in this slide, I will quickly try to give you an overview of people. Then maybe few of the important aspects I will touch from pharmacovigilance process point of view. Now, if you see in this particular slide, there are three parts I have tried to segment it. Like one is about, if you see here spontaneous A, clinical trial essay, solicited adverse event, then we have data entry, case triaging, safety database. So can somebody tell me what does it mean? Like if I see about this particular left section which is highlighted in blue, what do you think? Like what we're actually doing in drug safety for this particular activity? Any thoughts? Just a thought. You may be wrong, not a problem. What do you think? What we are doing here? Definitely in the second part, we also have external data surveillance, then medical assessment was done, because whenever you collect some adverse drug reaction, definitely it goes through a qualified medic need to review that. Sometimes also pharmacy put their inputs as well. And then together we do the medical assessment, because there is also a health authority requirement. Okay. And then we overall submit the cases to the health authority. Now definitely internal data surveillance and medical education is also been done. And if you put in the third part, here we talk about the corporate safety review, risk management plan, response to health authority queries, then preparation of aggregate report. Aggregate report means periodic safety update report, or periodic benefit risks report that we need to prepare. And then also 7-day, 15-day reporting, which is very common reporting, which is we say as in our term ICSR reporting, individual case study report reporting. Now, so if you see here, so this is one part where we're talking about, okay, we have the data, we are entering data, then we are doing some assessment, and then we're actually submitting. So if I wanted to fragment that one, how we can technically think that what actually we're doing in different 3 steps for all these activities. So these all activities are part of overall drug safety and pharmacovigilance, right? Now, if you go to the next slide, so if you see, I think many of you already know, maybe you need to come out with the answer, but technically you know that in the first phase actually we are doing the data acquisition. So data is very important. Like we need to get some different sources that we get the data, and then actually do the data analysis. Like whether it's a medical review, and even we prepare the PvPI, we also need to do a comprehensive assessment of the periodic safety update report, how to do the assessment, and definitely there is a scientific work and knowledge you need to have that particular analysis. And then benefit, risk, and communication. So definitely, benefit, risk, as I mentioned, even when you prepare a PvPI, then definitely need to make overall assessment that whether that particular is safe enough, or if that particular product has a safety concern, what are the safety concerns being identified. Maybe accordingly you need to update your labeling. And even sometimes what happens, health authority also wants you that even if you say, okay, these are the 2 areas, like patient has a cardiac arrhythmia happening with the product. So that doesn't mean that tomorrow they will going to take off the product. Definitely they will say, okay, these are very serious events, so we need to monitor further, because maybe presently we have around 30 cases of such, but there is no direct causal relationship with the particular medicinal product for that area. So maybe they're in alert and they want the company to be more specific to monitor that particular adverse event, which is actually sometime in our term we say the event of special interest. So that whenever the next periodic periods have been prepared, we can check it out whether statistically or with the different tools that we use, that really whether that can be a probable serious adverse event associated with the medicinal product. And if that is really serious, sometimes as you know, we have products like levothyroxine, pharmacovigilance. Sometimes I have also taken that, and it was an excellent painkiller, I would say. Okay, it just really works so well. But later on, when I was just in our college days, then I was able to know that okay, Pharmacovigilance has a serious adverse event that is actually caused heart attacks and a lot of myocardial problems, right? And that's why in a lot of countries those are actually now banned. It's not being used. So here you can understand that maybe it is a very effective painkiller, but here the risk to the patient is more. And definitely, if risk is that okay, I'm getting a rash or some other type of non-serious adverse event or fatigue, that is okay. But cardiac problem, definitely nobody wants that. I want to take a painkiller, and then in future I never know that I have a cardiac problem because taking up that nice painkiller is not acceptable, right? So that's why definitely now you can say these are the proven data. But I can tell you, whoever taken this decision one day, whether it's a company or the comprehensive group, like our professionals, medics, healthcare authority, how they make that decision? Only due to this drug safety analysis pharmacovigilance. Even when I was the students like maybe I was also not aware. We have always gone through the definitions, right? Like we've gone through the definition, we try to understand things, but as I also work in industry, so then I can relate that. Okay, we have gone through the books, we have this information, but how that information actually been decided? That decision is made with these three simple steps. Now, as I mentioned, in my words, it looks like simple, but it's not that simple. We need to have a very comprehensive monitoring, further analysis, and a lot of data. A lot of product, lot of areas. We need to really do a overall good job to comply with the health authority, and also to make our particular product, safer for the patient, and to maintain the reputation of the company and the betterment of the patient in the society as a whole. Okay, go to the next slide. So I think this is basic thing. I think you already know. It's just an internal slide I tried to present that what a adverse event or adverse reaction means. Like it's like an event untoward medical occurs with patient or clinical emotional subject. Because as you know, sometimes most of as you know what is the life cycle of a product. Like whenever we have a development product which is under clinical trial, like we have a preclinical study being done in the animals. Then animals we tried our best to have the safety profile of that particular product. Then only we start phase 1 trial where we try to give that particular drug to see how it's affecting the patient and also whether there is safety concern. And then also further we go to the phase 2 and 3. So ultimately, one of the major objectives is that whenever we're doing the clinical trials in a very controlled environment to know whether our drug is safe. And even after phase 3, when you're actually doing a submission to the regulatory authority, that time apart from the normal dossier that we prepared from CMC point of view, we need to have a big input to be given to the health authority from safety point of view. So pharmacovigilance department or the drug safety department gives that total safety profile of that particular product. And during the approval of that product, that information is very important for the health authority. As I mentioned, sometimes maybe your drug is fantastic, it's one of the best drugs. But if the safety profile is not good or it is not really appreciable and there are a lot of issues, then definitely that drug is not going to be considered. And if you know why for the pharmaceutical company now pharmacovigilance has become so important, can anybody answer that? Why do you think? Like why we are doing pharmacovigilance? If I say when I was in the manufacturing, so if I prepare some medication, so what happens? I prepare one medication, I sell it to the person, so I get money, right? So revenue being generated by the company. So company is always happy, right? Okay, we are looking for the patient, plus also we are generating revenue for it. But do you think, I'm not talking about the service industry of the PV, I'm talking about as a pharmaceutical company, if I have a PV department, or pharmacovigilance department or drug safety department. So what do you think? Like, are we generating any revenue directly? Suppose when I worked in a company, so they are giving me salary. They are giving me salary not to produce something, just to do this overall analysis, all the scientific work related to drug safety and all this, right? So can anybody tell me, like, then why it is so important? Any thought? You want to say anything? Anyone? You need to participate, otherwise pharmacovigilance go away. You know, you may be wrong again. Say, don't afraid that if your thought process is right or wrong. But if you don't participate, then it's very difficult. Yeah, go ahead.
We usually do pharmacovigilance to monitor the drug. That if we are spreading the drug in the market, then if it is having some serious effects on side effects or adverse effect on a patient, then the drug should be stopped producing. So to see to keep a check that if any drug is causing any problem or side effects, we do pharmacovigilance.
Yes, so we carry a big applause for her, and we need to appreciate that. We need to think. Let me. What was my question? Relevant to that, he didn't answer that one, but she has given a overall correct view that why actually pharmacovigilance is important. Now, I will add to that it's not only about the importance why companies do, because companies pay. Pharmacovigilance is actually an expenditure for the company. If they have a team, they have a system, they need to invest that. Why they are investing? Company may invest for the reputation for the patient, that's fine. Because generally when a dossier is submitted to the health authority, right? So they need to have a proper safety program. One is health authority requirement, definitely. If health authority requirement is there, we need to do it. Otherwise, we will not get the approval. And definitely, it's not about business. Also, companies, they do it for the reputation and to keep the patient safe from the areas as well. But ultimately, what happens? Suppose if I don't have a very good pharmacovigilance system, then what will happen? If they see that, even not only system, about the compliance, as I mentioned about the ICSR reporting, there are 7-day, 15-day reporting is there. I have the information, we collect it, and then we submit the report to the health authority. We have a POCR. Every POCR have a timeline. Right? Okay, in this particular date, I need to submit this POCR to the health authority. Now, if we don't do it, then that means I'm non-compliant. And when there is a non-compliance happens, so what will happen? Maybe health authority expecting 95% compliance, but we are 75% compliant. So what will happen? Suppose I have 10 medicinal product which is filed for approval in the health authority. So health authority say, okay, X company for last 3 months their compliance is very bad. They have delayed to PSUs, or maybe the quality of PSU is not that good. A lot of queries came up. Even the individual safety reporting compliance data is very low compared to the last few months. So they may consider that, no, they are not doing well. So maybe you have a filing which would have been approved on a proper time, as you already have all the data. But health authority may not be happy with you because you are not doing a proper pharmacovigilance activity or drug safety activity. And it may happen that their approval got delayed. And I can tell you, in pharma industry, it's not easy whenever you have delays in approval, because there are a lot of competition as well, right? So that time, 6-month delay is actually you may lose a lot of market. And that means for the business point of view for the pharma industry. And that's why one is definitely as a regulatory requirement. Second is definitely to make the company's reputation and to be safe for the patient, they need to keep that. And third, most importantly, they need to make a proper compliance so that they have a better submission quality and better submission approval to the health authorities to move into the pharma industry. And that's why in today's world, they are definitely giving more importance to the pharmacovigilance, though we don't generate, but actually indirectly we have a lot of contribution. Because if we do our activity properly, that means company in a better position to get all the approvals on time. And also we have a better faith to the health authority and to the patient that, okay, this is a company, They actually maintain all the pharmacovigilance system, all the drug safety system, so we can use their drug more safely because they have a faith. They have a faith that company always look after about the probable areas and any unseen issues happen to the product. Okay, go to the next slide. So again, what I mentioned about the ideal reaction, that's the original slide. Go to the next slide. So I think here again, I will just quickly mention about this one or two slides because I think this is again as part of the academic, and I think you're already aware of it because it's like different types of adverse drug reaction, like type A, type B, type C, D, E. So I'm not going to waste much time on that one because we've already gone through. So I try to take more time to more specifically how we work in the industry to get know about the pharmacovigilance activity. Go to the next slide. Yeah, again, this is the same thing about the type A reaction. Okay. Now let's who can report the area. So I think it is already there. If you see who are going to report the areas. Definitely first person I would say the patient. If I am a patient, I have taken a medication, and if tomorrow I have a diarrhea, then definitely I should report it to the company and also the health authority. I think in today's world is very easy to do that because we have Google, we have internet, where even if you quick answer, okay, I can't find it. We can quickly find the contact number of a company or health authority, and we can, quickly give the information. Now, again, you can ask me one question that, okay, I have taken a medication today, and tomorrow I have diarrhea. I have taken the medication for fever, and tomorrow I have a diarrhea. So, Shubhodha, are you going to report that? How can you say that this diarrhea is due to the medication? I would say no. You don't need to think about that. Generally, as per the drug safety process, whatever happened to the patient after taking medication, that need to be reported. Now, that assessment, see, individually you cannot make any decision. Now, when all this information comes and we database and we actually periodically review and medically assess those things, then only at point of time we can say, I'm not saying that if today I have taken paracetamol, tomorrow I can read other things also. Maybe tomorrow morning I have taken something which did go well and I have the time, right? So that assessment will come because when cumulatively all the information is coming from different parts of the society, of the people, of the world, then we have that global database where I can actually see, okay, where statistically or using dot of signal detection techniques, whether we can make a overall assessment that yes, actually our product is causing diarrhea. So maybe earlier in the labeling document, diarrhea was not included. So maybe in the next update of our labeling document, we need to include it. I think when I'm talking about the labeling document, this is much more scientific word we use when you work in day-to-day life. But I can tell you, whenever you have gone to a pharmacy and you actually bought a medication, there is a small part always missed out. We never actually see that. And most of the time we put it in our dustbin, I would say. I'm not saying everybody does it, I don't know. But what is my in general experience I've seen? If you see, sometimes you have taken a eye drop. There is always a small basic prescription instruction in there. And in the instruction, if you go there, if you go to your home and if you see any such leaflet in our word, what I say, if you see here, it is mentioned about the dose, indication, contraindication, and also there is a small part where they mention adverse drug reaction. What is that part? That part is that when the drug has been approved at the present status of the particular drug, we have already established areas. Like maybe it is mentioned that if you take this drug, you have a fever, you have a fatigue, you have a diarrhea, these things may happen to you, right? So those are already been there. And accordingly, we know that these are actually labeled. Now that labeling information from where it is coming, again, it is coming from the pharmacovigilance activity. Because when patient, then the doctors, they actually report, we have the data, a lot of clinical data information is also there. Even companies do a lot of past studies, post-authorization safety studies, because sometimes health authority gives approval of the drug, but they also want to company that, okay, with present information, we approve your drug, but we want you to do more post-authorization studies to have more safety data. Because in clinical trial, we have very less exposure, like 3,000, 2,000 people or patients been exposed totally, right? There is a very small population, but maybe in that small population, we didn't make out any serious adverse event been affecting the particular patient or having some life-threatening situation, right? But when it goes to the larger population, like now it is there in our market, I as a patient go to the pharmacy, I buy it, thousands of patients is taking that medication, then how the scientific information is coming up about the area, that is important. And that's why as a patient, it is your responsibility for your own and for the society that you need to do properly. And as I mentioned, healthcare professionals also need to do the same, whether it's a pharmacist, nurse, or doctor. As I mentioned, in India, still we are lacking that. Our physicians are not giving that much of practice for reporting an ADR. So maybe as CDSC already started such type of programs, which time we will develop in that area, people will be more aware, whether it is from healthcare professional to patient, and we will start reporting the information to the health authority or the company, so that we have a more better data available to do a proper medical assessment of the particular product for safety profile. And as I mentioned, whenever we have this ADR, even when I work in a company, so I also get a separate training that even I'm working here, so I'm doing PV activity or drug safety activity, but I'm bound to inform any safety information if I'm ever, even from my relatives or any of the friends. If I hear something, I've gone somewhere and maybe somebody is gossiping. Yesterday I've taken this drug and I have this problem. Then ideally, because I'm actually more aware person, I should inform that information to the company. So that type of oath also will be taken when we actually join the profession, or the vendor people who actually do the services for the pharma companies. Go to the next slide. What should we report? Now we are talking about ADR. So this is, I can say, Shubho, this is actually about a lot of events, clinical events, untoward events that actually experienced by the patient. But apart from that, we also need to report, like if you see in this particular slide, I was trying to basically show you, like there's a pregnant woman. So even a pregnant woman, you can say they're taking a lot of medication. So maybe we don't know whether she has ADR or not, but it is very important for pregnant women. We need to have the statements ADR information. Anything happened to the patient, even nothing happened, no problem. But generally, generally we need to get that information. Even companies do a lot of separate patient registries, where whenever any company's drugs being taken, then we need to ensure that for pregnant women we get the data, because as you know the thalidomide tragedy that happened. So we don't want the repetition. So we are more alert about that. That's why specifically we try to monitor the pregnancy patient when they are taking the drug, and whether event is related to the drug or not, that is separate thing that will be done in the analysis part. But first we need to make awareness that we get the data, means we need to report that information to the companies and the health authorities. And also for the breastfeeding mothers, it is also important that we are little bit more vigilant to get such type of information when the lady is actually taking the medication. Okay. And this part talk about, it's not only about areas, drug misuse. So those comes under the medication error. Like, sometimes maybe you see, sometimes we've taken a tablet, we've broken the tablet. That's not a very good practice, but sometimes we do it. And maybe you can say, okay, this is 100 milligram tablet. So maybe, 500 milligram tablets, maybe you can broken out, you need to take one dose, 250 milligram. But maybe when you try to break that particular tablet, it's not broken evenly. So there can be a situation, actually instead of 250 milligram, you actually taken 350 milligram, which is not ideal for that particular. These are very small things, but I can tell you, when I've gone through few of the reports in USA and Europe, these small things actually matters more. We actually don't take much attention to those things. That's why it's just gone unattended. But now as we are walking there, so whether due to regulatory obligation or whether as a practice we need to do it, so we need to keep in mind. So that particular medication error, that okay, you have misusing a drug, or there is a medication error that you're not properly taking the dose. That type of information also need to be captured in, particular database, or from pharmacovigilance or drug safety point of view, need to have the information for further analysis. Because you can ask, what is going to help out in this? Like, okay, there is nothing going to happen with my, adverse reactions, or maybe I didn't got ill due to drug. Then why still we are getting this medication error or this type of information? See, first, as I told you, sometimes overdose may lead to some situation which may again have an area. But sometimes with this type of information help us to also upgrade the labeling. Maybe sometimes you're saying there is a labeling information in the bottle of the particular product. Okay, so maybe we see people are doing mistakes while taking the medication, because not they are doing mistake of their own only. They are doing the mistake, but maybe company also not given a better instruction in the labeling document, or basic prescription instruction, or in the labeling of that particular product. So if we change that, maybe update that, it will be better for the patient, and that time we may see patient don't do this type of mistakes again. Okay, and that's really helpful for the overall drug use. Another important thing, sometimes we also used to get, there is a term called unexpected beneficial effect. There is a product, if I recall, Minodixil. Minodixil, it's a beta blocker, I think, in general, from scientific point of view, from drug action point of view. But Minodixil is, do you know, there is a special use of Minodixil? Alopecia. Right, alopecia, right. So Minodixil gel being used for alopecia. Now, Minodixil gel is not developed for alopecia. I can tell you, there was maybe a situation, what happened, like some people, sometimes we experiment things, like, okay, I put gel out here, and then, maybe somehow happened, like, the off-label use of the product was done. Product is used for something else, but you off-label means you using it apart from your indication. Suppose your indication is cough, but you are not using it for the cough. Somehow you feel, if you take it, it's actually, gives you a soothing effect, or maybe it's actually gives you a good sleep in general. So maybe you are using as a drug sometimes to have a good sleep. Then maybe we can consider, okay, maybe that particular drug also have a good sleeping agent, can be used as a good sleeping agent. So this type of things came out. So it may have, tomorrow there is a report that I use the Minodixil gel. See, definitely in general it was a tablet, but somehow maybe in certain contexts, okay, this particular drug has an unexpected beneficial effect where we never thought of it, and then it has been approved for that particular thing as well. Okay, another example is like that, there is a product called ranibizumab. Ranibizumab is actually Lucentis. It's a intraocular injection which is used for age-related macular disease. Okay, because with aging, our macular got damage, and age-related macular disease may lead to blindness. Okay, and I think this ranibizumab is a very nice product where there will be a monthly intravitreal injection being given to the patient, and there is a lot of improvement happening. But that is very costly medication. Like, I can't recall the money, but maybe if you need to take a one year of dose, like 12 dose or 76 dose every month, once month you need to take that particular dose. Maybe it costs around 1 lakh or 1.5 lakhs or 2 lakhs, something different from that. But there is a similar, not also similar, there is another, and this ranibizumab is a monoclonal antibody. Okay. Similarly, there is another monoclonal antibody called Pharmacovigilance. And one of the company, like Avastin is the brand name, has been marketed by one of the company. So that particular Pharmacovigilance is actually indicated for colon cancer in US. Okay, but these Pharmacovigilance are also being used sometimes for intraocular injection in age-related macular disease, because this is an off-label use. And why this off-label use is being done in certain countries? Because maybe that one single dose is 50,000 for ranibizumab, but for gumezumab it is 7,000. So 7,000, 50,000 matters, right? So maybe somehow some doctors, who actually, see, patient doesn't think of their own. Maybe some doctors sometimes prescribe bimekizumab or Avastin for age-related macular disease because they have seen this is actually been effective. Maybe not that effective as bimekizumab, but maybe effective in that. But till now, company didn't actually approve it for the indication. So again, this type of information also came as a off-label use because if this type of off-label use is happening, which is not approved by the health authority, then also health authority need to check, company to check whether that practice is right or wrong. In this situation, as I mentioned, I've seen few doctors used Avastin for age-related macular disease, an intraocular injection, and that was become effective. They feel means they are saying, but whether that practice is really good or not, definitely that will be also looked in by the health authority, the company as a whole, because till now it is not been indicated for age-related macular disease. Okay, so these are the few examples I wanted to share with you. Then go to the next slide. Why is correct?
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
As you said that it has to be reported to the authority. So who will be the last person in the authority who will decide about this indication? So you can market it with like as you mentioned that you can have some off-label uses. So who is the last person who will designate it for the new kind of uses?
No, definitely see. First thing is that company can do it because they can approach the companies always try for the new indication sometime, right? And here you see our healthcare professional has some authority. Like our doctor, if they see they have a feeling that okay, this particular drug also been effective in that part, so they have the authority. Now, definitely, if it is causing problem, ADR, so then definitely it will be banned, and there will be some circulation of information that this type of practice is not effective. But as you are asking, like who is the ultimate authority? I would say it's both, like company and health authority as a whole need to think. Now, health authority always concerned about the patient safety, right? If still patient safety is not being compromised, then they may consider it up to a time. But ultimately, if I am the company, I need to file a new indication for a product. So it is my responsibility to convince the health authority, see, this is my product, I have been using for X indication. Now, I've seen there are some off-label use and there are some good results out there. And now a company also medically feel that this is a indication that need to be approved, then definitely they accordingly provide the data to the health authority to get the approval. But health authority sometimes also can discourage off-label use because if they see that off-label use is happening a lot for this particular product, maybe they need to make awareness for that. And if that off-label use is causing some real problem to the patient, then definitely we need to look on it further.
Because I think it's a very big important parameter because based on the genetics modalities, this efficacy also changes. So maybe
Right.
a healthcare professional find if the off-label use is working great in some gender bias tests, and then other it is completely deteriorating. So in that case, it is very difficult for you to for the health professional because there are so many variations from the patient safety profile.
Right.
Very common example like Pharmacovigilance. We know it's a very popular anti-convulsion drug. So it is well practiced in India. The doctors are prescribing this drug thoroughly. But if you go to the European countries for their ethnicity, for their gender modalities, Pharmacovigilance is not at all effective. They are giving some other drugs. They are going for valproates for the anti-convulsion therapies.
That's important because that is actually rational use of drug based on the fact how we can use it for the indication more safely for the patient. And as I mentioned, this looks like very simple thing, but definitely we need to think in that way more scientifically, and definitely as we are missing here in India today, that we are not practicing that. So if you don't practice that, then definitely we are not going to move into the next step, right? And that is very important whenever we are talking about the drug safety and pharmacovigilance. For any kind of drug, we need to do. Okay, and thanks, Pai, for the important inputs. You have rightly mentioned the the golden part that we need to always look in, that how in India we have a lot of drugs which have been actually marketed in India, which is banned in other countries. So I'm not saying anyone is banned, that means we need to ban. I'm not saying that. Definitely we need to have our individual assessment. But definitely we need to look in that if there is a safety concern for the studies of the product in other countries, how, whether that is also been safe with us. Sometimes maybe we're not able to make that decision because we don't have that culture and practice of drug safety information, so that we can have a better judgment about it. And that's why sometimes we say, okay, nothing is happening, but actually it's happening to the patient. Okay. And later on I will also share how this drug safety also impacts the overall health cost as a whole. It's not about getting a adverse event, because adverse events means when people got ill, people always been, have changes in the economics, right? Because they need to spend money. Now, definitely, if I'm ill today, I will go to a hospital, I will get treatment. Now, when the treatment is happening with a drug, now that drug has led to some other XYZ problem with me, and maybe due to that, my hospitalization got prolonged. So maybe I will suppose, just hypothetically I'm saying that I was hospitalized for one treatment, I got a lot of drug infusions, other surgical treatment, fine, and then ideally maybe after 7 days I should have been released from the hospital. But it may happen when certain medication was given to me in hospital, which was not properly monitored and not properly, executed. So that what happened, maybe that drug actually led to some ADS to me or some other problems to me. That led to some prolonged hospitalization. Maybe instead of 7 days, now I stayed there 15 days. And after 15 days, I released from the hospital. I was happy, like now I am cured after 15 days. But sometimes we are not aware that this 7 to 7, more 7 months plus, maybe that led to 1,50,000 more to my hospital cost. That cost is actually done due to lack of knowledge about the drug use, and sometimes maybe we have not properly monitored the drug, or maybe there was a issue of drug adverse reaction monitoring that was unaddressed, and nobody knows that actually I was hospitalized for more 7 days, not due to an internal pathological situation, but a pathological condition which is caused by the drug itself by causing a adverse drug reaction. So these are very interesting things, because we have seen in US and Europe a lot of hospitalization will increased due to ADR. There are a lot of deaths happen in US due to these ADRs. Even I'm saying US data is also saying this is not the full data. This is the bunk. Maybe with all the better systems they have, still they are thinking there's a lot to be done. And then you think in India still we need to have more system to be developed, more culture to be developed, more practice to be done. And then we have actually real picture, and we can better outcome of our drug safety activities, so that we can have a better society with less health cost as well. Because cost matter for everybody, right? Nobody wants to be penalized that where actually I do any error. Okay. So that's why this is also have a great importance from economics point of view when you actually handle the drug. Go to the next slide. So here I will try to put some importance of ICS, like individual case report. So if you see here, what we do in the individual case report, like okay, we have the information. Suppose I am a patient, so I have taken a drug, maybe hospital or maybe I am at home, whatever it is. Now after that, suppose I got a severe tachycardia during morning. Maybe yesterday evening I've taken a drug, today I'm with tachycardia. I'm not saying today I'm getting a tachycardia, maybe due to drug or not, but that information should be reported. Now I will fill up a form. Now in India, generally, we have adverse drug reaction form, which is been also present in the Indian Pharmacovigilance Commission, and also in the CBSE website, where we can have the ADL form which can be filled, and that can be sent to a email ID. I can later on also share that information with you. So ideally, suppose I have entered that information and then I send it to the concerned company or the health authority. Okay, as a whole in general. But to become a valid ICSR means individual case study report, where I have the basic information, overall information of the patient with the overall drug reactions or all the events actually happen. Now, to become a valid ICSR, we have 4 minimum criteria. what those 4 minimum criteria, if those 4 minimum criteria information is there, then only we have the report to be submitted in general. Number one, generally we database that formally as a case for further analysis. Number one, there should be a reporter. So if I am the reporter, so I am a patient, so I'm a reporter. So one criteria. Second, I am a patient as a whole. Okay, so that is second point. Third, there should be a pharmaceutical medicinal product or whatever it is. Like it can be done for the medical device vigilance is separate, but overall that can be biological or that can be a vaccine, whatever it is. So then there is a second point. There should be a product, and then fourth point is that there should be an adverse event. There should be adverse event in general. These are the 4 minimum criteria when we in our language say, okay, this is a valid case. But apart from that, now what is happening? A lot of time we got information, and in that information maybe we're only getting an event and a product. Sometimes the patient information is not clearly mentioned. Reporter information is not clearly mentioned. So in that situation also, we sometimes database that case, but that is considered as an incomplete case. Incomplete case. But that incomplete case is not obliged to be reported to the health authority. So sometimes we have seen some companies actually keeping this as a data so that tomorrow maybe we don't know something happened. If there is a lot of incomplete cases with some specific events, then we can further investigate. But health authority requirement point of view, there is no need to report those incomplete cases. Except there are some scenarios in medical devices, even for multiple patient reports, we need to submit there. Generally, multiple patient report means if I say, yesterday I heard my 5 friends have tachycardia after taking this drug. Maybe 5 friends means there is no identified patient. 5 is a multiple number. So this is actually invalid case in general. For ICSL perspective. Okay. But yeah, again for vaccine, this is a valid case. If say 5% taken a vaccine and after taking that they have XYZ areas, then it will be a valid case and it should be reported to the health authority. So these are some differences of regulation for drug, device, and also for vaccines in general. But in general, for medicinal product, when there is a multiple patient, we don't database those type of cases. Okay. When individually get it from sources like spontaneous reporting. And if you see in this slide, what happens? Okay, now I have the ICSR 4 minimum criteria made now, which contains the information describing the drug and whether it is suspected adverse drug reaction, whether the causality of the drug is suspected or non-suspected. Then whether it is related to the oral administration or there will be one or more medicinal product. Because sometimes I have taken 3 medications. Now today I have, arrhythmia. So how I can make out? Like you never know, like whether this is caused by the drug 1, 2, or 3. Now, physicians sometimes we call it as a reported causality. Like physicians sometimes, as is more close to the patient with the treatment, if he feels that okay, there is a causal relationship, then definitely he sometimes report it as a first instance that he thinks this event is due to the drug 1, right? But that doesn't mean that day we are going to make a obligation or make a declaration. Okay, our drug is causing that one. Again, that is one report. Maybe such 10 report comes, but ultimately when PSR report or comprehensive analysis has been done, then only we can make out whether really those particular reported causality events with the drug is actually should be considered as a real causal relationship with the drug and the event being existing or not. Okay, so that is again a further analysis part that we need to look in. Then definitely at specific point of time when the adverse reaction happens is very important. I think you already read about the term in our pharmacology or maybe in the prescription pharmacy section, if I remember, there is de-challenge and re-challenge. So, anyone aware of what is de-challenge and re-challenge? Can somebody tell me what is de-challenge? Didn't heard the term? I think you should have gone through this definition. What is de-challenge and what is re-challenge of a drug? Any idea? I know you, most of you know it, but sometimes, we are actually, I don't know what is the reason. Sometimes we don't speak out the thing. Okay. So we taken a drug. After taking the drug, somebody de-challenge means, okay, stop the drug. So today I have taken the drug in the morning. Suddenly I got vomiting and nausea type of feeling. I stopped it in the afternoon. In the evening, I'm well and good. So that means probably this type of information, sometimes medics use to do an analysis of positivity, that here de-challenge is positive. De-challenge positive means, okay, he actually withdrawn the drug or stopped the drug, and somehow after that, the reaction also abated or is actually gone away. Right? Re-challenge means again, tomorrow morning, again I have taken the drug. Tomorrow morning, again taking the drug, two things can happen. I didn't feel about nausea or vomiting, or it may happen, I feel it. So if I feel it, then it is actually, and more scientific evidence probably now re-challenge positive. Again reintroduced, and there was a reaction, same reaction. Then it may cause, probably a cause relationship with that. And as you know, there are a lot of other narangio causality assessment part which is used by the WHO. So there are other assessment, and it's not about those scales as well. When in our industry we see it, it's about a comprehensive process, that how we detect a signal. Now, signal term we use when we see that this particular product actually causing a safety issue, or there is a event that need to be considered as a label. So that safety signal system been done with the different tools at the end. Like we have empirical type of tools being used. We also use possibility assessment individually from medics assessment point of view. That is also important because medic has a medical assessment mind, right? So they also give their medical assessment when have the total information about the patient. Okay, so this way we do the overall assessment. Go to the next slide. Here again, I think we are talking about the same thing, like therapeutic effects, certain risk, continuous drug monitoring, involve PV department. So we need to continuously monitor that one. We collect the ICSRs, and then whenever adverse reaction in patient which may occur, so we need to also see in the research phase how it behaves. Like research phase means when it is in the development phase, like phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, and then when it is in marketing phase, then also we need to have a proper monitoring. Like we need to do an individual ICSR reporting. Plus, in the later slide, I also show you that there should be a POCR to be submitted in certain intervals based on the different health authority requirement. Okay, and DSUs is also been prepared, like which is actually for the development product to provide an information about the overall safety profiling of the drug when the drug is in the development stage, and it will go till the last trial, investigational trial, actually being conducted for that particular drug. Go to the next slide. So again, ICSR, what can be different sources? Any idea? What do you think? I'm talking about a simple question. There is a source. Now, from where I can get the information? I already explained during my introductory part. What are the different sources? So what is ICSR?
Please raise your hand. How many knows? No, not you. I want to see how many of you know about ICSR. Please raise your hand.
The full form?
Please raise your hand.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All. First, raise your hand. How many of you know in this hall? ICSR.
Okay, you explain.
Very good. Come up. Please come at the front.
So I think, see, I would say that for the ICSR,
Lot of
variations, but see, the most important point, that's why the participation is important. Again, I'm telling you, if someone is wrong, that is not a problem. Problem is that if you know during the professional development program also explain that we are not asking. If you don't ask things, you don't participate. So what happens sometimes we make ourselves unaware that what is actually right or wrong. So never ashamed or never think about it. If somebody is laughing also, that okay, you are saying this thing. No, I think I will encourage this lady, like she at least put his hands forward and tried to answer. Maybe the answer she has given not correct. That is not a problem. But now there is an opportunity for her and for all of you that we will clarify it that this is the right answer. And in this type of seminars, what happens, we never forget this. Because you always remember, okay, no, this incident happened, she was really wrong, and then suddenly we able to know this is the right answer. Okay. So anyone else knows the right answer?
No, no. Yeah, tell your answer.
Okay, you?
Tell your answer. Okay, you.
You?
Individual case study.
Individual case study.
You. You. Case study report.
Yeah.
Anyone? Anywhere different? You. Acha. Okay, we get a safety. You. Case study. Okay. Back. Yes. First one. You. Safe. Okay.
Study report.
Okay.
So somebody is saying safety report, study report. So
And
ideally,
you.
individual
For
study
us
report.
very unique. International Council. What? International Scientific report.
Now, yeah. So I know there's a variation, but I think now we have the answer. And I will request the lady to you now say. Again, I'm repeating that what is the right answer. I'm repeating first, and now you should teach your audience, like your friends, that ICSR means individual case study report. You say
Individual case study report.
to all of your friends, not to me.
Individual case study report.
Yeah. So that is called a collaborative learning. I can tell you, like maybe she was wrong, but that is not a problem. Problem is that if you are not clear, because initially when I actually started seminar, a lot of time I have the answer with me. ICSR thing. So another thing happens sometimes. Suppose we use some abbreviation. We are not understanding that, but still we are keeping quiet. Why? If you are not understanding any point, you should ask. I think again say asking is the most important part. Because if you don't ask, you may be wrong, but you will always be wrong if you don't ask the right answer, and then you will be always in a problem. Because now again I mentioned again that is a separate topic. Like now you're in an education institute. Maybe individually you contribute. Tomorrow we have an examination, you will pass it out in general. But in industry there will be a very less margin of error. In that situation, if somebody asks you, okay, you are doing a pharmacovigilance or drug safety, what need to be done? Your manager explained you everything, and you keep quiet. He used 2 to 3 terms. You are not clear about it. You didn't ask it. Now, because you are thinking, why should I ask? Maybe if I ask, this will happen, that will happen. This is in general nature problem. Okay. And then what will happen? You go to manager thought, okay, 7 days given. After 7 days, you come there, and then the manager sees actually what is expected from you is done totally wrong. And that time there will be problem. Because if you say, sir, I understood this one, that's why I'm doing this. Okay. First question will come, fine, you can misunderstood. But why didn't you ask me that day? If you are not clear about something, why didn't you ask me that day? So that's why, again, as a general comment, you need to make yourself aware that when something is not clear to you, you need to get yourself clear. And that way, actually, we do the learning as a whole, and more specifically for the pharmacovigilance. Now, solicited report means I have a program to it. This I will actively involve myself. So this type of information comes from where? Clinical trial. Because clinical trial has a proper protocol. There is a proper system. Company work as a sponsor. They need to have an investigator. They also train that investigator to have the information be provided. Health authority also have the regulation that you want when you are doing a clinical trial, you need to have a proper area reporting form and information should be collected. Right. So that's why this is very important that when you are doing a clinical trial. Another term, another type of source we have in our drug information is PSP, Patient Support Program. Now, patient support program, a lot of companies you may see, I don't know whether they've gone through, a lot of areas, sometimes a lot of marketing people, they used to do a lot of camps, health camps. Now, company do health camps to promote their products or sometimes to betterment of the patient. In those health camps, maybe there is a patient support program being introduced. Now, those patient support program, patient being involved. Now, those special for program are not like clinical trials, but as company has taken the initiative to have that program, so then company also have the responsibility to have the organized data collection from those particular programs if the patient is involved and patient has actually experienced in area. Now those type of programs, if a patient is involved and patient has some areas, so those information also need to be collected, and those information source is considered, PSP is considered as a solicited source. And why this is important? Because based on this, we have a lot of report types. When you submit to the health authority, either electronically or by manual, so there are some report type involved. Because report type is also used to analyze or fragment the different information that we collect from different sources, right? So definitely here it matters, because earlier before 2012, these PSPs are considered as spontaneous report. So we have a spontaneous reporting system. And especially I'm talking about the JISU-Vigilance system. So what is happening in JISU-Vigilance, there are two modules. One is EV human module. EV human modules means all spontaneous reports goes to that data, that particular database part. And there is a CT module. CT module means all reports which is coming from the international clinical trial, those goes to the CT module, and there is a separate analysis. Now after introduction of this PSP, now PSP now being considered as a solicited report. Whether earlier it was only considered as a spontaneous report. So these are just some regulation changes happened in 2012, and now in that basis, when we actually process the reports in databases, safety databases, so we accordingly select the correct report type. Okay. An unsolicited resource means there is no obligation. Like as I mentioned, I have taken the drug, I am a patient, I have reported to the health authority today or the company today, so spontaneously I report it. So there is no direct obligation, but we need to have a practice of that so that we have the information gone to the correct authority. Go to the next slide. So this is again sources of ICSR. So another important source I missed out, that is the literature reports. So all companies also bound to do the literature search, because in literature, a lot of literature publications happen, right? From drug point of view, maybe a lot of intelligent information is there. So through PubMed, and there is a lot of tools are available through which the whole internet is in search, that whether my molecule name or my product name, my brand name, or maybe generic name, through which any article is being involved with the ADR, and if the ADR is involved, we also need to database that information for further analysis. And the report type for those data analysis will be literature report. And this again, as I mentioned, solicited report, unsolicited means spontaneous literature, sometimes with internet. Even now, with the use of social media, even few companies, I think still more development is going on, but still few companies have created their Facebook pages. Even they are also collecting some, if somebody posts something about a drug, then also they are actually collecting that information, which may be useful for that. Though I can tell you that still more development needs to be done for that proper channelization of that information, because one of the problem with the social media is that sometimes we don't have the identified patient, and you cannot make a follow-up to the patient to get the further information, right? So this type of things, this type of information is also considered as spontaneous. And whereas, as I mentioned, post-approved named patient use programs, then clinical trial registries, clinical trial as a whole, lot of post-authorization safety studies, they may be considered as a solicited report. Because as I mentioned, health authority wants us to do further studies, even they have approved our drugs. Go to the next slide. Voluntary forms. So if you see here two divisions, voluntary forms, mandatory forms. Voluntary forms means again, as spontaneously they want to report something. So in US, they can use the Medverse 3500, whether you are a HCP or not. HCP means healthcare professional. And if you're a consumer also, you can use 3500B. And in UK, we have yellow cards form. Later on, I will also show India, CDOC also have a adverse reaction form. So definitely there is again a voluntary form where you can use it. And for mandatory forms, as I mentioned, when as a company, we have an obligation, we database the information, we medically do the assessment, and finally we need to submit one report. Either we submit by SIOMS or by E2B submissions. In US, Europe, like Intervigilance, there is also electronic submission happens. So electronically, suppose there is electronic database, from that database automatically with XML file, that information will be gated or means submitted to the electronic gateway of that health authority, relevant health authority, where you need to submit. Like as I mentioned, for US FDA and also for Vigilance and for a lot of other countries also, we already have a electronic submission of areas after submitting the information from company. Keep in mind, information is coming from the patient, it is coming to the company. Two ways, company been receiving it. Then company process that information and then report it to the health authority. Okay. Also, it may happen sometime as a patient or healthcare professional, you submit it to the health authority. Health authority that time submit that information in their database, and they also forward that information to company, because maybe it may happen like I am a patient, I only report it to health authority, but that data health authority will also forward to the company, because company also need that information when they actually cumulatively analyzing the information. Okay, so this way we need to move on, and those reports are actually called health authority reports. Means reports which are coming from the health authority. Now you can say, sure, health authority means, is it like health authority itself have an adverse drug reaction and then report it? No, health authority received it from the consumer or from the healthcare professional. They are forwarding that information to the company, and then we are databasing it. Because health authority sees that, okay, you have your product in this report, so this is a report of interest for you. You need to database in your global database so that you can actually further analyze that. And as I mentioned, mandatory forms like COMS, MEDVAS 3500A, which are the form format in which we need to submit the report. Go to the next slide. Minimum criteria for a direct access. I think this is I already gone through. So again, one important point: we don't mention the patient name. Sometimes we just mention about the somebody's my name is Dr. Gupta. So I will just use the initials HDG, because patient privacy is also important. So we should not disclose the patient privacy. So mostly we don't mention the name when actually filling up the particular report for a patient. So we mention the initial of the patient name, then date of birth, this type of information we share. Even in certain countries, like in Europe, they have a data privacy. Even they also, try to hide the patient information as well. Like even the date of birth, some information is not being disclosed in other countries. For clinical trial, it is being taken out because, as you know, clinical trial is organized way of doing a particular research. So in that we have informed consent. So in the informed consent, a patient gives the consent that okay, you can use a bit of information for me for the research purpose. So maybe date of birth, age, this is very important. So we consider that because that help us to sometimes analyze the lot of risk factor for the old patient, for the adult patient, or even for the pediatric patients. Go to the next slide. So again, I think overall things remain the same as I mentioned. When you have a valid ICSR, it has been evaluated by your PV department, then it goes to the health authority, and in different parties, like sometimes health authority also forward it to the relevant other company to share that information if they have their multiple products. Because sometimes what happens, I got a report for my company, in that there is a co-suspect. Co-suspect means there is another suspect drug. Now that suspect drug is not our company's drug. But when it goes to the health authority, or sometimes even the company also responsible to share that information to the other company. That see, in my report, there is your product will available. So I am sharing this report with you so that you can take further action or analysis from your point of view, and whatever the reporting obligation you have in your product for your particular region. And according to ICH, E2B is the international standard for transmitting effectively the individual case safety report. So in that way, we need to submit the report out. Go to the next slide. ICSR processing. Now, Here I'm talking about the scenario where you can see there is a company A, there is a company B. You can see there is a handshake. So sometime what happens, suppose there is a company Pfizer and there is a company JIS. So what happens, sometimes they have a license agreement. License agreement means, suppose I am marketing in US, that particular product. Now tomorrow in India, Pfizer doesn't market it directly. So they make a alliance agreement, license partner agreement to JSK that okay fine, I am giving my product to you, so you will market in India. Okay. But when you market in India, so marketing authorization will be there within India. But as this is my product, so I have some obligation of reporting. And that time when this alliance agreement is done, so we need to have an agreement that whenever any area has been reported in your country or any of the sources we have for that information, they need to share that information to the Pfizer in USA. Because maybe you can say JSK has a reporting obligation in India only. But when I am marketing that product maybe in other 10 countries, I have the obligation to report any areas which is happening in any country. Okay, so that's why we have a comprehensive agreement where we need to ensure that they share the information to us. Then accordingly, we also process the information so that we actually report to the concerned countries where we actually marketed the product. We means that for company X or Y, or maybe in this example, as I mentioned, Pfizer maybe get the information and they will submit to the health authorities. That's why they need to share among themselves and then finally they will report to the health authority. Okay, go to the next slide. And this is here, okay, we don't have an agreement. So this is not a license agreement situation. Here again, as I mentioned the earlier example, I am a company A and that company A receives the information about area. There is a product B involved, which is not my company's product. So I need to share, I need to submit that information to health authority. Then health authority will submit that report to the company B so that they can evaluate it. But sometimes what happens, good companies like they sometimes always have a practice that if they already aware that there is a product which is other company product, they actually directly send that particular report to the company. Suppose if in India I got a product X with the ADR and that X product is Dr. Reddy's product, in that situation, I will actually share that report to Dr. Reddy, saying that, see, there is a co-suspect product. So that co-suspect is your product. Please take necessary action from your point of view. I'm sharing this part. So this is also happens. Good companies, they actually do this type of culture, like they share the reports when they see other companies' product, because that is sometimes health authority also wants that to do this so that we don't miss out anything. That is the main objective. Go to the next slide. Again, I think I will not much say about this particular site yet. Why this is very important? Because once we gather the information, we can have the detailed analysis. We can see the performance of the particular drug. So why we are doing it? Means this particular title talks about benefit risk. Again and again, I'm saying benefit risk. So if there is benefit, risk can be minimized to accordingly we can get approval. Second point, there is a risk. Fine, there is a risk. But that risk can be minimized. We cannot take the ADR off from the drug. But what we can do, we can manage. Sometimes for that we do risk management plan. Very important. Health authority also wants risk management plan to be submitted in different basis. Okay, there are some regulations as well. Okay, so that RMP need to be prepared and it will be submitted. Another small, general example I'm saying, a lot of people have taken painkiller. And if you see, when doctor prescribing a painkiller, they always used to give one brand tag is either omeprazole or ranitidine, or sometimes they used to say you can take a diazepam. Why? Because most of those painkillers, like specifically the ibuprofen type of painkillers, they are gastric irritant. It is one of the side effects, right? Even if you take a long time, if you take painkiller for a long time, it may happen. There is the time comes up that you have some real gastric problem. Okay, there may be some gastric ulcer, this type of situations can happen. So here what happens? So painkiller is an important product to reduce the pain, to manage the pain, but there is one of the severe adverse reaction happens, or severe adverse reaction happens is a gastric irritation. So here, what we are doing a risk management plan. We are trying to minimize the risk. Fine, this product is important, but let us take an antacid or some other supporting medication so that that adverse reaction can be minimized and I can get the better things. So see, I'm just giving you some simple example. Now, when we are talking about oncological products, we are talking about other, transplant type of products. So when bigger areas happen, so definitely accordingly we need to have more better risk management plan to be introduced. Okay. Next. And even sometimes we need to have this withdrawal process, like why it is important, like whenever at the analysis of that particular drug, then we can take some step, whether it's RMP, whether we need to change the dose, and sometimes a minor dose change we can introduce. As I mentioned, sometimes maybe prescription instruction to be modified so that patient better understand that, healthcare professionals better understand that, and they can have a better use of the particular drug. So this type of changes can be done, which is very important from having the treatment by the drug while you have a disease. Now, this is I will try to give a quick declaration that I know we are just ending our session very quickly in some minutes, but this particular slide is very important, especially people who may go to the pharmacovigilance or the drug safety professional in future. Because here, as I mentioned, in 2 hours or 1.5 hours, it's very difficult to explain everything about the pharmacovigilance. But I can tell you, I have tried my best to give you a very good glimpse that how actually we work in the industry and to give a basic concept about it, that how pharmacovigilance is being done. Okay. If you see here, this is real-time factor whenever an internal case processor who actually receives the case, how in the industry, in safety database, process is managed. What are the different steps being taken? So if you see here, first, okay. So if you see here, the overall title of this slide, traditional case processing workflow. So traditional manual case processing, so you have this particular report is showing, okay, different sources. Maybe it's a spontaneous report, maybe it's a clinical trial report, maybe it's a question support program, whatever it is. So this is our report. Case received. So we have received the medication. The report. Now, what is the case receipt date? When the time clicks on from the compliance point of view. So the day we receive the information about the adverse event with any company associate who actually first aware of the adverse event reaction, that is called as a MRD in our cell, manufacturing receipt date. And that date, MRD, manufacturing receipt date, and that date actually starts the clock for the compliance reporting. If you see earlier I mentioned ICSR, 7 day, 15 day. So your 15-day time will come if yesterday I am aware of a particular ADR. Now yesterday I am aware. Today I am reporting. Today I am reporting to the company or the health authority. So my MRD will be yesterday, 20th September. 20th September will be my MRD. Today is the day 1 starts. Okay, and with that we calculate that within day 15, if it is a serious case, we need to submit to the health authority. Now, if it is a life-threatening or fatal case, by day 7 we need to report it to health authority. Right. Now, this is the case receipt. So we have received the case. Booking. See, this is, I understand, because beauty of my overall knowledge sharing is that when I realized, because I was somehow worked in a pharmacovigilance era where it is more developing, especially in India. When I first, maybe this lady told about the wrong ICSR pronunciation, sometimes it happens, but I was first time in the company and somebody is giving me a presentation, and in that presentation I was told booking. book, you need to do a booking of case, I told you, I never understand. Maybe you are intelligent. I never understood. I'm booking, I know ticket booking in all tickets, movie tickets. What is this booking? Maybe 3-4 days taken to understand what is this booking. Because sometimes what happens, these are the terms used. The booking is nothing but I get a case, a paper form, or maybe now we also receive an electronic form. Now, if you create a case in a database, so there is an electronic database, so you are now creating that case or report in the electronic database. So that is actually called booking. Okay, I don't know how much you understood, but I also didn't expect that when I say booking, you will understand everything. So generally what we do, suppose think of a global database. Database means there are a lot of information is there. Suppose in the database now 10,000 cases are there. Now I got a case of 10,001. I got a patient report. So what I will do first, in the database there will be some parameters. Age, patient age, country, all this information. So I have in the safety report, those informations are there. I will put those information in the basic search criteria. There's a booking search criteria screen is available, where we need to put that information. And then I make a term called duplicate search. Duplicate movie we remember, because there are 2 Shah Rukh Khans, right? So here what we need to search in database, that when there is a duplicate, whether the report I have in my hand, whether this information about this patient information is already in my database or not. Okay, so I make a duplicate search. That now I make a search and I get a case, 2 cases. Now I need to evaluate whether this particular report which is in my hand is about the same patient. If it is the same patient, same relevant event, it is a follow-up of the earlier information, then I will add that information to that existing case. And if I finally assess that this is actually a new case, I'm just telling you in a nutshell, because this duplicate search is also a lot of steps need to be taken up. But main basic message is that I need to ensure that I cannot create a duplicate report for a same patient, because that will again a wrong data, because that will again trigger as a new ADR, which should not be the case. So I need to ensure that if it is a follow-up to the existing case of an existing patient, I book or create or add that information to that particular case, or I basically create a new case, because I made a duplicate search, I didn't find any case, I find 2 cases, but those 2 cases are not relevant to my case in my hand, and now I book a new case, which is my 10,000 number 1 case. And after doing that booking, then I go for the data entry. Data entry means now there are different safety databases. So basically I will say in data entry what we will do, there will be patient information, reporter information, there will be patient history, there will be product information, then there will be a narrative. Narrative means story. From the morning what I have done, when patient got the particular event, what happened to the patient, what are the medical history, what are the ongoing medication, what are the information about the causality by the physician, whether it is not, suspected, non-suspected, or maybe sometimes they don't provide the causality is not provided. What is the MRD? MRD information also goes in the narrative. Manufacturing receipt date, because that is the clicking clock for the overall report submission, right? Even if it is a clinical trial case, then clinical trial protocol information also will be there in the narrative. So narrative information will have overall basic story of the patient, that what actually happened to the patient, what are the treatment received by the patient after ADR, or maybe during the period of clinical course. So this type of information will be entered. So as I mentioned, data entry will have those information, and sometimes also there is some administrative type of information, like sometimes companies, health authority, they give some numbers, reference number, health authority number, company number, those also need to be captured. So just in nutshell, basically data entry will include all the relevant information which is present in my SAE report or the AE report that need to be entered in the safety database. And after that, there is a case assessment. The case assessment part includes leveling, because now I have the data entry. Then I am aware that maybe you have not seen the database. In database, we have a leveling assessment section. So we need to go to the leveling information. For a clinical trial, we need to open the investigator brochure. So individual brochure, we have a section where all this already existing ADS information is available. So if we see that if I have a case of cardiac arrhythmia as a event, now I'll go to the investigative brochure for a clinical trial case, and if I see that arrhythmia is already there, then I consider it as a listed. Listed means expected, so it is already a established area. If it is not there, then it is unexpected. And if you know, there is a term called suspected unexpected serious adverse drug reaction. SUSAR in small form, SUSAR report. And this SUSAR report, so especially for clinical trial report, where there is the IB, investigational brochure is used as a reference document, which is also we call in our term as the RSI, reference safety information document. So if there is a SUSAR, then definitely that need to be reported to the health authority within a stipulated timeline, that is day 15. And most importantly, especially for the US, we need to generate a letter called IN, investigator notification. So that investigator notification need to be submitted. And remember, ICSR reporting is separate. ICSR report is separate. Okay. Because that is an individual SIOMS form which will go to the submission. And IN letter is again separate. IN letter goes through ethics committee to all the investigators. There is a separate letter where medic actually need to prepare a letter based on the earlier previous similar events, and then they prepare a letter, and that letter is being circulated to all the investigators whatsoever in the part of world that particular product trial is going. If there are 70 sites in 15 countries, in all sites there is a mechanism, there is a process through which company circulate that IN letter to the concerned company. Okay. So sorry, to the concerned investigators as an IN letter. And then QC again, basically a lot of companies they use to have a QC step in a quality control. They need to check it out, the data, the assessment, whatever you have done, that is done correctly or not. And then we have the medical review. So medical review again done by the medics. So like now the company when I worked on, so we have a big medic team been available. So we work with the medicals. There are a lot of MDs, there are MBBS, but mostly they are MDs. They actually work together. Even when we prepare the PSUL, we need to work together to get the scientific analysis of that one. So they do the individual medical review ICSR, and there is a section called medical assessment comment. So they need to make an assessment comment about that particular report, because that assessment comment will be finally submitted with the final report or SIOMS or electronic submission which has been done to the health authority, because that is a regulatory requirement. And distribution and growth. Distribution means again I mentioned, if it is a paper distribution, SIOMS can be submitted. And now, as I mentioned, there are a lot of electronic submission has been done in most of the health authorities. So a XML file will be automatically generated and submitted to the concerned health authority. Now, sometime what happens? Suppose I am in India. I am submitting the report to Finland. Now, Finland country organization will receive it. In Finland, there is a country organization for the company, and they will see whether they have the obligation to report that case to the Finnish authority, and then accordingly they will submit it there. So it depends sometimes. Where is the requirement to submit the report? Okay. Go to the next slide. So PSUR, as I mentioned, I will not go further in this because periodic safety update report I mentioned, these are comprehensive things. I have the ICSR, and then ICSR, when it is in the database, after 6 months, like in Europe, after 6 months, every 2 years, we need to do the PSUR preparation. And in PSUR preparation, there will be a lot of points, as I mentioned. Periodic safety update reports give the overview of the safety profiling for a particular range. And it is done as per the health authority regulation. Even in Europe, 2 years, every 6 months, then 1 year for I think 2 to 3 years, maybe I'm just forgot the exact timelines, and then even up to 5 years, we need to do the PSUR activity to ensure what is the safety of that particular profile. Go to the next slide. Again, the same thing. How it helps? It actually helps to know what are the new risks and how we can balance the benefit and risk ratio. And if there is a need of risk management plan to be updated or to be introduced, so according to the new risk, we update the new risk management plan. Go to the next slide. Now, recently what happened, like PSU are now more mentioned as a PEBRA, okay? That is periodic benefits risk evaluation report. Okay, so these are actually again introduced in Europe. They have used this particular term. Overall, PSR format remains the same, but in PBR, they try to redefine the structure of the PSR to more focused on the risk and benefit ratio, not as just a general, safety information. Okay. Go to the next slide. As I mentioned, like for FDA, required periodic adverse drug experience report, PEDR report, we say, which is like quarterly during first 3 years. In Europe, every 6 months for 2 years, annually for following 3 years, and after 5 years. So these are the schedule of the different PUs that we prepare. Okay. Now you can understand the complexity, because if a company market in 10 countries, sometimes we need to manage that. If 10 countries need the PUs here, sometimes maybe we need to ensure that every health authority, as per the requirement, gets the updated PUs here as per the expectation. Okay. And DCGI in India, we have every 6 months for 2 years, annually for following 2 years, and every 3 years they want the periodic safety update report as per our DCGI guideline in CDSCO. Next slide. DUSR I will not go much. It's same as PUSR. Format is different. Basically, when the drug is in the development stage, that time also we need to prepare some drug safety drug development reports about the safety concern of the development product. So development safety update report. DSO means development safety update report. So those reports also need to be shared. Go to the next slide. Again, objective is the same thing. When it is in the development stage, we need to ensure the new risk being captured, and we accordingly move on whether this particular product can be moved on to the next phase or not from safety point of view. Go to the next slide. As I mentioned, generally for every new product, for innovative company, a new product is developed, so there will be international development birth date. So we also have a birth date, every human being. Similarly, every drug also have a birth date. Like whenever first time one company actually introduced that. Okay, so those type of information also need to be considered. Go to the next slide. Now, finally, going to the main theme of this particular, week, the Pharmacovigilance National Week, where we are thinking about encouraging reports of ADRs by patients. So I think few of the aspects I've already covered, like how it is important that patient need to be aware. Go to the next slide. So if you see, educated all the people, we need to advertise. Today also this program that is happening, I think this is a big opportunity for all of us. At least all the people who are around here in this seminar, they are aware that, okay, tomorrow if I'm aware of ADR of me or my relatives or my friends, I should report it to the concerned authority. Then launching a mobile application. Then making ADR reporting centers, like, already CDSU have some hospitals, like they already made mandatory for the hospital to have a ADR monitoring center. In AIMS, we have a Uppsala monitoring center. Sweden, we have the Uppsala monitoring central center, where they actually used to get the ADR information, right, from World Health Organization point of view. Then provide facility for ADR reporting in every medical store and drug distribution center. So these are the areas we are still lacking. We need to look on at how we can improve those sectors or those practices so that we have the better information. Go to the next slide. Now, reporting on ADR. Who can report? What to report? When to report? How to report and where to report? Now we're coming to the last part. Go to the next slide. Who can report? I think already we know. Again and again I told you. Patient, healthcare professional, whoever it is. Go to the next slide. What to report? All known, unknown, serious, non-serious, frequent, rare reaction, all due to drug, vaccine, medical device, everything that need to be reported. Go to the next slide. What to report? When to report? Again, the timeline. So for non-serious, it is generally There can be a lot of different timelines for different countries, but generally 30 days, within 30 days we need to report the non-serious cases and all serious and death events as soon as possible within 7 days. Okay. There may be countries where by 90 days, like in US, by 90 days we need to report the non-serious cases. Go to the next slide. How to report ADR? Again, use suspected abnormal reaction reporting form available on the official website of IPC as well as the CBSCO. So we already have a form. I will also show you that form as well. Go to the next slide. This is the form. I don't know whether you have ever seen that. We are in this new generation. We are always very familiar to go to the websites. So I will also request once go to the CBSCO website and try to open this particular form. Okay. Now, next thing what I will tell now, I think all are high-tech people, right? We have mobile phones, we have a lot of applications, we use WhatsApp, but now I think in this new generation when we have this technology being used and we are actually more familiar with that one, we can actually make a difference. How you know? Can someone tell me what is a mobile phone? So in this mobile phone, I have a application. Do you have any application like this? Anyone have? You know, there is an application made by CDSCO. You know, long back in collaboration with one educational institute. That is a like PvPI mobile application. And I think in last 12 years, even sometime I don't write, I more type. Right? I know that change actually happened in our life. So that's why sometimes we're much more familiar to type something, and we have a mobile, we can we can write down. So CDSCO actually have a mobile application, PvPI. You open your mobile, go to the Google store, click ADR PvPI. You will get the application. Download that application, and that is a very nice application. As I mentioned, sometimes you can say, I'll get it, where I can write it, where can I get the page, why should I call? Open the application. That is a very user-friendly application where you can write the patient information, ADR information, everything, and just with the click. Because we like more clicks, right? So you can have the information, you can submit the information to the CDSCO. So I request all of you, as a oath today, like everybody should have that application, and whenever they have that application, and you are aware of any ADR, please report it. Go to the next slide. And again, that ADR reporting form not only in English language, also in 12 different regional language, that form is available. So maybe in district level, sometimes people are not aware of English, so they can also use the local language. Language should not be the barrier. Okay. So if there is a regional language, still now whatever CDSCO have done, they try to put it in this few of the language when available. So you can use that form for local regional reporting with the local language as well. Go to the next slide. Again, there is a toll-free number as well to report to the health authority in India, where you can actually call and inform them that I have an ADR, and they can capture the information. Then further they will have the information. They will process the information. Go to the next slide. This is the mobile application, PvPI mobile application. I think have anyone downloaded it? How many of you? Okay, fine, that's great. But other people will not download it. Please download. If you are missing today, our society will miss tomorrow. So that you need to understand. And now you cannot give me excuse that no, I don't know this, because you can download TikTok, XYZ, thousands of application, and in one click you cannot download this important application. That is not acceptable. So please, it is your life, it is our society, so we need to take the initiative. Go to the next slide. So again, suspected ADR reporting form forwarded to nearest AMC or directly to the NCC. AMC means again, these are again ADR monitoring center, mostly in the hospitals. National Coordination Center, like in AIMS Delhi, we have a NCC available. Don't get confused with the NCC of our army part. So this is about the National Coordination Center for Pharmacovigilance. Or you can mail directly to the pvpi.ipcindia@gmail.com. So these are the different type of way we need to have the information can be shared. Go to the next slide. Now, finally, I would say now, till now we have educated, try to make awareness, try to educate people about pharmacovigilance. Now coming back to the students, when now they're in their college days, so definitely everybody is studying here to gather knowledge so that tomorrow they can build their career. Now, pharmacovigilance really grown up from industry point of view, because when there is a activity, so there will be resource, there will be need of system, there will be process to be developed, and for that we need people and process. So there will be a lot of job opportunities as well, right? And that's why what we have seen, specifically I was going through one report where it is mentioned, like today we have around in India, the pharmacovigilance market means whatever the service we are providing, whatever the jobs we have, is 90,000 crore. 90, almost 1 lakh crore of money is being circulated for doing the drug safety in India. That is not a small amount. And I can tell you that is the start. That is the start. Because India is a growing place for doing further drug safety research oriented work. A lot of companies are investing, a lot of service providing are also developing and working together. So in and overall as a pharma industry now, the pharmacovigilance market is 6.8 billion. 6.8 billion. And by 2026 or 27, it is expected that this market will go to 14.2 billion. Just think, double. So in the coming 4 or 5 years, this industry of pharmacovigilance and drug safety research will going to be doubled. Double means there will be a lot of opportunity, there will be a lot of resource need to become, but with resource, you need to also be a competent person. You need to have knowledgeable person with pharmacological knowledge, pharmacovigilance knowledge, research knowledge. But this is also needed because good quality research only ultimately give us the best quality service and contribution to the health sector. Okay, go to the next slide. Again, it's the same thing. It is just a overall how in US how much growth actually happened, how in Asia Pacific how much billions of revenue is being generated by the pharmacovigilance and drug safety industries. But overall, as I mentioned, definitely at least for the coming 6 to 7 years, it will be a big boom from the drug safety research point of view. Go to the next slide. So again, finally, I want to conclude my session by saying one thing, that maybe somebody done some mistake, somebody didn't listen my talks properly. That doesn't matter. Maybe you consider today is your last mistake. But if you don't learn from your mistake, that is a problem. Even my manager used to tell me, a lot of my other professionals and seniors used to tell me that mistakes can happen, but if the same mistakes are happening, especially when you work in the research area, that is a problem because you are not learning from your mistakes. So please try to capture that culture quickly. As Einstein also mentioned that the only mistake in life in the lesson is not learn. That you can do mistakes, but you need to learn from your mistake. And the next time, especially whether from pharmacovigilance point of view, when you work or the drug safety point of view, you work, you need to keep in mind on it. Go to the next slide. So I'm just finally again say thank you very much for this lovely audience and specifically Payal and their team because it's not about one person. I know a lot of people who are maybe students who are actually participated. So that is also need to be encouraged because these are actually also important points in your personal life apart from your job prospect. It help you. Only getting marks is not going to help you. You need to be interactive. You need to participate. Maybe sometime you'll be 100% good, maybe 20% good. But if you participate, your overall personal development will happen. Okay. So thank you very much and a big applause for the audience for their patient hearing. Okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity to share my knowledge with you all. Okay. Thank you. Any questions? Final questions there? Then I can address. Otherwise, you can come.
I have some comment. I have some observation and some comment. Is it there? First observations of audience. So I don't know whether you can correlate it or not, but I could correlate it very much because all whatever Mr. Dattagupta is saying, these all are very practical things. Practically, what they are doing in the pharmacovigilance and ADR reporting is very interesting. I don't know after this session also how many of you can tell the full form of ADR. So from the next time onwards, I request organizer to have some question and answer session after this type of seminar. Please listen it very carefully, 5 minutes. You must have some question and answer session after this type of seminar, and you should encourage the students with a gift of either chocolate or pen like that. So whoever can answer will ask some question and will offer some gifts. And initially the hall was full of audience. Now because maybe your classes are off, I think your teachers are not taking your class. That does not mean you will roam around the university or will go home. So first of all, we stop the class and so that you can participate. And this type of seminar, you have seen that I am here from the beginning. Why I am getting interest in this speech. And this is very, very practical thing about ADR reporting and pharmacovigilance. I have, in my mind, I have 1,000 questions. It is not possible to ask him. I have so many questions. And if you listen it carefully, you will also have more than 1,000 questions. Because as he told, that pharmacovigilance is a booming area in our field. It was not that 1 decade ago. Now, lots of students, majority of the students are going to the pharmacovigilance. Who can tell? You will not go there. So maybe it is your future also. So whatever you are studying in 4 years, and this 1 year session may be useful for a pharmacovigilance interview, job interview. Whatever you have studied in 4-year BPharm course, because our curriculum is not giving 1% importance in the, only the pharmacology students can say what is the full form of ADR, what is the difference between side effects and adverse effects. Even I don't think that any students can define the definition of adverse effects also. If I start asking, because it is too late, I was thinking of such type of question and answer session, but I'm not doing it now. It's lunch time over. So next time onwards we will do this thing, and this attendance does not mean that initially you will give attendance, you will go out. So attendance will be taken at the end of the program. So don't take attendance and meet in between, and at the end of the program only we can take attendance, and those who go out, you don't allow any attendance. No, we will keep some time. Anyway, if you have question, you can ask, or otherwise, I have some 1-2 question I will ask. Whenever, because this pharmacovigilance, we know the drug, okay. So pharmacovigilance, suppose established drug, for established drug, those drugs are marketed for long back. So for that, some company, new companies starting business in some countries, for them also it is applicable. Regulatory requirement is there for doing pharmacovigilance study.
Yeah, basically what happens, like you are talking about the natural products, where it may happen like a company like Pfizer, they have an innovative company. So initially they have pharmacovigilance, they have the data. So see, if tomorrow there is off patent, so the model of generic company will come out, right? When the generic company come out, so definitely when they are also filing, they will initially take the data from the innovative company, where they already have some established data for the supporting part. But now what is happening that even they have filed a molecule. So ideally, even if it's a generic product, so they need to do the pharmacovigilance, because maybe they have a different formulation with the same active ingredient, but as per the regulation, if there is a report, there should be a pharmacovigilance system, everything need to be done. But yeah, as you correctly mentioned, like definitely when initially they file it, they already have a lot of data available. So they use that data to submit that. And even it may happen, maybe that data is for Caucasian patient or only in Europe and US. So in India, we have less data. So that time also it is a requirement, it's a in general need that in our population, how that particular drug have the ADR actions. Because sometimes even with different ratios, the action of drugs and ADR occurrences may changes. So as I mentioned, maybe for a generic company, they need to not to do that much of pharmacovigilance from nutshell point of view, like when an innovative company does. But overall, pharmacovigilance system should be there. And if a product is manufactured by X company and that product is taken by one patient, then definitely they need to have a pharmaceutical system to process that information and to submit the information also prepare the information. So that is a requirement, because if you market in India, so we need to mobilize that one. If I market in USA, so we need to mobilize in the US market. So here there is no difference. Like, okay, they are not innovative company, or already there is a data. That doesn't matter.
My one question is to the audience, especially to the students. What do you mean by new drug? You have listened the term. All of you have some idea about drug. Anybody can explain the new drug? Because we know the terminology investigational new drug, IND. Can anybody define when a drug is considered as a new drug? Because we know that for investigational new drug, there must have pharmacovigilance study or that legal report in the trial. It must be submitted to get the approval of the drug for marketing. There are a lot of pharmacology students are there. They are not. You must try. What is new drug? Because sir has not mentioned about new drug. That's why I'm asking. Any fourth year students, pharmacology students, any of you, একটা question করলে কিন্তু কেউ বলতে পারছে। This is very bad. What is new drug? New means something different. Well, you try.
Sir, when a drug is not declared yet a safe. So when a drug.
No, it's not.
What do you mean by declaration of the drug?
Not new drug does not mean that it is safe. It may be safe, but what is pharmaceutics point of view? If you think from pharmaceutics point of view, not the pharmacological point of view, you can answer from okay. As because it is too late, I ভাবলাম আমার তরফ থেকে একটা চকলেট দেবো কাউকে, so এটা দেওয়া গেল না.
Because as you have new drugs, also we have ND application, that is new drug application. IND, new drug applications, like these are actually development drugs where we need to submit the files of information. Okay. And I want to correct one more thing, like that is the important point that we don't challenge. If you remember when I talked about the ICSR, okay, so there is a tricky thing happening. So ICSR, somebody totally talked about the research organization and everything. So ICSR is individual case safety report. So I was also saying study report, right? So that was not like that. In certain health authorities, they actually mention study report, but most importantly, in European and other countries, they have what is mentioned in the CIOMS guideline or ICS guideline. That is the individual case safety report. So that is also important. Like if you feel somebody has some understanding, they need to challenge that. Okay, I have these resources, right? Because when actually we also do some analysis for pharmacovigilance, so we always talk about reference. Okay, in this research paper, this was mentioned. We refer that one. Maybe then we can say, okay, no, this research paper is earlier printed. Later on, we have from other research and we have the information, right? So again, I mentioned the culture of asking, sharing, and dissemination of information is very important in all aspects, and especially when you are talking about the pharmacovigilance and drug safety, that has prime importance. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all the participants.
Okay, so as Professor Pinto sir mentioned this, that it was a very good lecture which we could follow. Actually, I really thank our guest speaker, Mr. Shubhota, also, and actually he's my senior from Jadavpur. And we were very happy when he got engaged with Novartis, which is one of the most leading companies worldwide. And anyone knows where is the headquarters of Novartis? Do you have any idea? Hmm? Where? Where? Where in Switzerland? It's in Basel. Okay. Basel. Yes. So, so when you are in this kind of companies, you know this global market, what is happening and what is happening around you. And this pharmacovigilance topic is very tricky. You know, the tricky in the sense is because it is have a direct connection with the patients, with the public, with the population. The theoretical knowledge which you are getting in your courses, it deals about your knowledge. But when this knowledge comes again into the applications, pharmacovigilance is that which is connecting you. And you cannot go wrong. If some report has to be published within 30 days, it has to be maintained 30 days. Otherwise, you cannot take it back. Or if it is 7 days. So it was really a very learning process, and the people who have really took part in this today's program, I think maybe 2% of you also, I will be glad to know that. And as sir mentioned, that we don't want to lucrative view with the chocolate or pens, it's there, but you know, after all, you should be privileged that we took up this pen, leaving all our other major works to just give you this basic knowledge or ideas what we are doing today. So I would be really wanting more and more participations from the students' point of view if the faculties are taking this pain to conduct such events here. Otherwise, we will stop making these conductions. Okay. So I think next time we want this responsibility to come up from your point of view. Okay. Next is what we want to mention. If you are really understanding this topic of this theme of this year, that is ADR reporting by patients, we have a cartoon art drawing competition which is based on this theme. So you can always do the spot registration. There are volunteers who will pick up your names and we will start it in the second half. You can take permission of your class teachers with the spot registration and you will be allowed for the cartoon art drawing competition based on this theme. And now I like to call upon our Professor KKR sir to felicitate the guest speaker from today. So we expect you again to come on us for the next sessions. Thank you.
I'll just make a final comment, like, 2 hours or 1.5 hours is very short for general pharmacovigilance. But as I mentioned to you, there is the best way we can communicate the message about the understanding of drug safety. And as you know, maybe in future, if you're interested, based on interest, when we go to the job, if you need to have more specific session, we can think of it. But yeah, as I mentioned, I can tell you this is the best we can do in this stipulated time, better understanding of pharmacovigilance. Thank you.
For everyone. And thanks all of you for the participation. Especially I like to mention the second year volunteers, final years who have really been participated, and all the faculty members and the B.Pharm first year, second year, third year, fourth year, and the M.Pharms as well. Please be connected. And the second session for the cartoon art drawing competition, we are giving you lunch break for half an hour, and you can come up. There will be the volunteer Shuprotin will be there from the second year. You can get your name registered there. So it will be a competition, and we are announcing the prizes with the certificate. So you are always free to join this competition. Okay?
So second up there will be a scheduled class, but only the participants
Yes.
will be allowed.
And you have to show the document to your class teacher that you have been spot registered for the cartoon art competition. Otherwise, you will be not allowed. Okay?
No audience is required. Only I think
Only
participants will participate.
Yes, sir.
So you will be going for the scheduled class after lunch, maybe from 2:30. Okay, half an hour lunch break.